So there's recently been reports around, is it now or never for Jai Opetaia to move up to the heavyweight division now? Jai Opetaia is currently 30 years old, and he has got a fight booked in December against Jinkaro. I think that's his name. I've just made a video about him, but yeah. He's got a fight booked for December. He'll probably win that. But ultimately, what the article is basically saying is, if Jai Opetaia can't get the big unification fights, he should just move up to heavyweight. And I do agree with that, but I do think that he should wait a bit longer. And it's hard, I know, because he's wanted these fights for so long, and he's undefeated, and he's a world champion. But if Zerdo or Badu Jack do not fight him within the next 12 months, yes, he should move up to heavyweight. Yeah. But I don't think he should just beat Shinkaro and then move up. I think he should beat him, and he will. And then they should really try and pursue negotiations with Badu Jack or Zerdo Ramirez. The Zerdo Ramirez fight is the bigger fight, in my opinion. I think Badu Jack is quite a big name compared to, I think out of the three of them, Badu Jack probably has the most recognisable name. But I really struggle to see Badu Jack taking that fight unless there's just a huge payday. Whereas I feel Zerdo is more willing or wants that unification more. It would mean more to him. Considering Zerdo actually holds two of the belts. I believe he holds the WBA and WBO belts. He does hold two belts. So again, it's in his best interest to want to unify as well. And I do think he'll want to. I could see that being the next fight, and that would be a great fight. That would be the two best cruiserweights, in my opinion, going head-to-head. I do think Jai would beat him because I think Zerdo's got a style. He's quite hittable. He's aggressive. He's a pressure fighter. But Zerdo, I think, is just too powerful, too athletic, and would just land on him and get to him, and maybe even be able to stop him. That being said, Zerdo Ramirez has beat everyone he's fought, bar Dimitri Bivol. Again, Dimitri Bivol is one of the best, well, the best in the world at light heavyweight. There's no shame in losing to him. And again, if he was to lose to Jai, he'd be losing to one of the, again, literally the best in the world at cruiserweight. Again, there's no shame in that. But yeah, I would be very curious to know what you guys think of this. I do think Jai should stay at cruiserweight for another year. And then after that, he's 31. If he's not got a unification bout at 31, he can move up to heavyweight as an undefeated world champion. I don't think he'd get a world title fight straight away. To be honest, I don't think he'd be able to claim a world title at heavyweight. And I think I could see my mind changing about that down the line once we see him at heavyweight a bit more. But I don't think he's probably good enough to even win. I don't want to say he's not good enough, because he is. But he's too small. I think he'd be too small. And we need to find out if that power translates. Of course, he's still got some size, and he's got a lot more skill. A lot more speed. So that normally does sort of translate to power. Especially because he'd be so much more athletic than these other guys. I'm expecting him to sort of not dance rings around them, because he's not that type of boxer. But athletically and physically run rings around some of these guys. Like a guy like Martin Bakole, he should be able to run rings around him. Right, and eventually stop him and eventually get him out of there, because again, Martin Bakole is he's got a big target as that stomach, right? Jai should be able to rip that, lower the hands, rip the head, and stop him. And I'm making it sound easier than it is, but do you know what I mean? That should be the game plan going into those sorts of fights. And again, even a Martin Bakole fight, that's a decent money fight. Again, someone like Martin Bakole, he's a bigger name than 99% of the cruiserweights. And say even if he comes up, fights a Bakole and then beats him, then he fights, I don't know, Filip Hrgovic. Again, now we're getting into some tough fights, because Filip Hrgovic is no scrub. And if you're going to beat Filip Hrgovic, you need to get out of bed pretty early if you're going to beat Filip Hrgovic. Right? But say you can fight Hrgovic, say you could beat Hrgovic, then he's looking at a world title fight, and at that point, if Usyk's still champion, that would be an interesting fight, because Usyk would be not very old, but he'd be quite old by that point. A lot of miles on the clock. And Jai would, be undefeated. It'd be the last undisputed cruiserweight champion against a former undefeated cruiserweight world champion fighting for the undisputed heavyweight championship. Like, that would be crazy. But there's a route there for Jai, because he's good. And I think he can move up to heavyweight and cause some guys serious problems. But I think his main priority should be to try and unify the division, at least with a Zerdo win. And then try and get that Badu Jack fight. But I think Zerdo should be the main priority, because Zerdo's got two belts. I think Zerdo would be the most competitive fight as well. More competitive than Badu Jack. I can see Badu Jack folding pretty early to Jai's power, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I'd be very curious to know what you guys think of this. Do you think Jai should stay at cruiserweight for a bit longer? Or do you think, like the article was saying, it's now or never for Jai and needs to move up to heavyweight now? Be curious to know what you guys think in the comments below. And yeah, another episode of the Seth Solo Side Quest. And I'm out. Peace.